Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just hit the link in the show description to support now.
Oh, geez, Dad, not the car again.
Oh, happens all the time with old Betsy.
Have you checked out Carvana yet? They have thousands of cars for under $20,000.
But do those thousands of cars have personality like old Betsy?
Betsy's held together by tape, and there are raccoons living in the engine.
It's a family car.
There are flames on the hood?
Custom paint job.
No, Dad, the car's on fire.
How many cars did you say Carvana had?
Visit Carvana.com to shop thousands of cars for under $20,000. We'll drive you happy at Carvana.
Hi, Ryan. Welcome to the Cognitive Recalibration Podcast. I'm your host, Shravan. As usual, we have our co-host, Tarun, with us in Hobart.
Hey, everyone.
Today's a special episode, not just because we are reviewing a movie called Crazy Rich Asians, but also because we have a guest on our podcast once again, and she's our rom-com expert. So generally, we wouldn't review a movie like this, and we wouldn't do it by ourselves for sure. So we needed some expert advice when it came to rom-coms. So we have Kavya Kottampalli, my wife, who's joining us for the very first time. She was going to join us for The Nun next week, but we have roped in another guest, and she wasn't happy about that. So I thought, why not get her in for this one?
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
So we'll start with, I guess, our expectations for Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay. I was going to say, have you even said what we're reviewing yet?
Yeah. No, I said Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay.
So we're reviewing Crazy Rich Asians. We started this podcast with the intention of basically talking about superhero movies and action movies. So I have no idea how we've got to this stage where we're reviewing a rom-com.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah. We're trying to expand our bases.
Yeah, I guess we're branching out a bit. And I guess next week's a bit of a branch out as well with The Nun, because that's not technically what we were out to do with this show, but I guess it's good.
Yeah. Let's get into it.
We'll start with each of our expectations. I'll start with mine. My expectations for this movie were not very high, because the first time I knew anything about this movie was when we saw that poster before we went to watch, I think it was Hotel Transylvania 3. I'm like, yeah, look at that movie. Imagine us reviewing that movie.
To be honest, we came out of watching Hotel Transylvania, so like our standards were already quite low then.
So I was like, yeah, imagine that. But then when this movie came closer to releasing, it got a lot of positive buzz. It had good reviews, and a lot of people were saying it's quite a good movie. So then I started to think, oh, maybe it's an alright movie, and and then I'll tell you about what I thought about the movie after I watched it in the review. So what were your expectations going into this movie?
Look, I didn't have any expectations, to be honest. I didn't even plan on watching this until about Friday when you told me that we're reviewing this. I'm like, oh shit, I got to watch this, I guess.
To be honest, you wouldn't have even watched this if I didn't make you watch it.
No, I wouldn't have. Yeah. And I put it off watching it until this morning, I'm like, are you sure we're reviewing this? Is this happening? And so I just watched it earlier this morning.
So you're very fresh. You literally just watched it.
Yeah, no expectations. I heard it was alright though. And the cast looks pretty cool from the posters, so yeah. But wasn't expecting all that much.
And you, as a rom-com lover,
yes,
what were your expectations?
I think like watching the trailers, I thought it would be a very good rom-com. So I had like high expectations. Yeah, and I think it met them, but we'll go into that next, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it would just be a typical like, boy meets girl, but with a bit of family drama in there. And it was good to see the cultural side, I guess, of it as well, with the whole Asian culture and
yeah. So I guess it's a bit of a rom-com with an Asian twist to it. So we'll talk about the story. So it's based off a novel, actually. So the novel is also called Crazy Rich Asians. It's by Kevin Kwan. And his intention of writing the novel was to introduce a contemporary Asia to the North American audience, which I guess this movie is also doing that to an extent. And he claims that this novel was loosely based on his own childhood in Singapore. And it has 2 sequels. So this might not be the only movie we get from this Crazy Rich Asians franchise. It has 2 novels that are a sequel. So China Rich Girlfriend and Rich People Problems. So they're still about rich Asians, pretty much. And we'll talk about it in spoilers, but I guess there is scope for more movies from this. What was the story? I'll ask you to give us a spoiler-free synopsis of the story.
Okay, so this story is about a girl and a boy that live abroad. So where are they based?
New York.
In New York. And they're from Asian families, I guess. And their families are back home in, Singapore. And
whereas the main character, Rachel's family, she lives in America.
Yeah. So Rachel is brought up in
America, in New York.
With her mother and her boyfriend,
Nick Young.
Nick Young is studying or working.
Yeah, so he's basically... he didn't say what he was doing there, actually.
I don't know what he was actually
doing.
So
he was in New York for some reason.
Yeah.
He's just hitting up girls. On Tinder. Let's find some Asian chicks.
Yeah, and he basically asks her to accompany him to Singapore to attend his best friend's wedding, for which he's the best man.
Yes.
And then she ends up finding out that Nick's family is just this crazy rich family in Singapore. Yeah. And she basically has to contend with fitting in with his family and contending with jealous friends and relatives and
then just family hijinks from there. Just the fun continues.
And I think the big plot point in the movie is between her and Nick's mother. So basically his mother is not approving of her.
Yeah.
The basic plot point is the mum's a bitch.
So how she deals with bitchy relatives and friends.
So hopefully we sold you with that synopsis.
No.
Well, I think we definitely did.
It's directed by John M. Chu. I'll tell you, I don't know if you know this guy's filmography. I'll give you a rundown of his previous works.
Ooh,
so
excited.
He's done Step Up 2.
Oh, yes, love it.
Step Up 2, The Streets. And then his second movie was Step Up 3D.
Oh, yes.
In 2010.
There we go. He didn't start the franchise, but he finished it.
Yeah. Well, I think they had more after that, didn't they? They've Step Up 4.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they probably... I think he was a producer on some of them after that. So he was still involved in the Step Up franchise. And then after that, he did the movie Justin Bieber Never Say Never in 2011.
What a film.
And then he went from that to G.I. Joe Retaliation, the one with The Rock.
Secretly love that movie, not gonna lie.
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
It's not actually that bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. Yeah, keep going.
And then 2 years ago, he did Now You See Me 2.
Oh, I couldn't get through it. I tried to watch it the other day, but I just couldn't get through it.
Yeah, and then he's come to this movie. So he's done
a whole load of things.
He's done very different things. So he did dance movies, then he did a movie with Justin Bieber. Actually, he did 2 movies with Justin Bieber. He did another one called Justin Bieber's Believe. Apparently, it's a concert movie.
They're documentaries, aren't they? So it's like, yeah.
So he's obviously good friends with Justin Bieber.
Yeah. This one is quite different to that.
Yeah, this one's quite different to all of those. So we'll talk about the cast. This has a very big cast, not just the main 2. Like, generally in the rom-coms, it's just the main 2 leads that are the focus of the movie. I feel like this is more it's more of a family plus rom-com situation. So it has a lot to do with his family as well. So I'll run through the cast and we'll say our thoughts on each of them. So the main character, Rachel Chu, is played by Constance Wu. So for those who have watched Fresh Off the Boat, they'll be familiar with her. So we only recently started watching that and we're really enjoying it, actually. she's quite funny in that. But her character in this is very different to her character in that. In that she's from Asia and she comes to America, so she's very much Asian. In this, she's very much American with Asian background. What did you guys think of her performance?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really liked her.
Yeah, genuinely she did well. Yeah.
I thought she did really well. I liked her character. She was like funny, she had style, she was, a little bit fierce.
In terms of rom-com leads, how does she compare to like a Meg Ryan or a Rachel McAdams?
I thought she did really well. Yeah. She had style, she had character, she was quirky, especially when the family drama got a bit high. I thought, I just really liked it. Good humor.
Yeah.
Just not your typical like soppy girlfriend. She had a bit more to her, I think. So I like that.
The problem I find with most rom-coms is I just can't relate to the main lead. They generally just make really dumb decisions, or they're just not very logical. And I think the difference with this movie is that the lead is quite relatable. I think even for us, I could see the parallels because we're from an Indian background, but we live in Australia. So when we go back to India, sometimes we feel like we see the kind of things that she sees as well.
Yes, yeah.
So in that way, it was more relatable. The leading man, Henry Golding, this is his first movie. Yeah. So he was a travel show host previous to taking up this offer. I thought he was really good, actually. He was quite charming.
Is he in
charismatic?
Is he in anything else? I haven't actually.
No, this is his first movie.
First film. He did a great job, like for his, debut film.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. What do you think of?
Yeah, I thought
Mr.
Henry was quite good. Looked like Henry hit the gym before he started this film, so
I think so.
He's looking great. He's looking great on the camera. Lots of shirtless scenes.
They really milked that.
He's doing quite well for himself, I think, Henry. He looks almost as good as the other Henry Cavill. So
he does, It's like an Asian Henry Cavill.
Asian Henry Cavill, I think so.
There was actually talk that how we'll talk about it in news, but James Bond is going through a couple of changes at the moment.
Asian James Bond.
Apparently, because the other reason is he's half British. His father's British.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's why he has a British accent as well.
He's got a neat British accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're thinking he might be a good James Bond, but I don't know if his acting was good in this, but he's not an actor. He wasn't an actor before this movie, so I don't know how good he's in this movie. He didn't have to do too much in terms of acting.
He's probably not in it all that much, to be honest. But for the parts that he is in it, he's good.
And then we have a whole cast of supporting actors. I guess we should talk about his mother, Michelle
I love
Yeoh.
that lady.
So she was previously seen in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, she's
also
veteran.
in Memoirs of a Geisha as well.
Yeah.
Have you seen Star Trek Discovery? You probably haven't. She's in Star Trek Discovery. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I thought she did a great job. I really liked her character and the way she played it.
I thought she was actually really good too.
Yeah.
She's pretty much typecast in that role. She does that role in everything that she's in, but she plays it well.
What? So she's always a Asian mother doesn't like
a stern Asian woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking more specific.
Not that specifically, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was good. We'll talk about more in spoilers. I have some more stuff to say about her character. There was Gemma Chan, who was Astrid, so Nick's cousin.
Yes.
She was
She's beautiful.
She was very good as well.
She was good, but I have some things to say about her plot points in the spoilers. I just have some things to say. She was good though in the role.
Yeah. So she's also British.
She's the favorite cousin.
She's his favorite cousin. Yeah. She's in Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
she's going to be in Captain Marvel. Yeah, as in she isn't Captain Marvel, but she's in Captain Marvel.
Okay.
There was Aquafina, who we saw earlier this year.
Ocean's 8 favorite.
She was hilarious.
We saw her earlier this year in Ocean's 8. Yeah, she's a rapper. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't.
So she was really funny. Actually, she was comic relief. I guess everyone. It's there's a lot of comedy in this movie, so there was a lot of comic relief.
How good is her family in general?
Yeah.
Just everyone in her family. Yeah.
Especially her brother. Was it her brother?
The brother. Yeah. No, but also the dad.
The dad, yeah.
Papafina, is that what they called her? Called him, sorry?
They call him that in real life now, because he was...
Okay, yeah.
Her name's Aquafina, so they call him Papafina.
Yeah, that's right.
Have you guys seen Community? That's where he got big.
Okay. Isn't he in The Hangover?
I'm forgetting his name. What's his name?
His name is Ken Jeong.
Ken Jeong. Yeah, so funny story about Ken Jeong. He went to medical school and was a doctor for like 5 years, and then quit being a doctor to become an actor. And he was on Community, and then he became the Hangover star, and then, now he does random shit like this. So he's actually a doctor, like a
he's a smart guy.
doctor.
Yeah. And then there's Chris Pang, who was... You should know who he is, because he's Australian, and he's in Tomorrow When the War Began.
Yes. I only
he's
just
the guy that's
found
getting
this
married.
out.
He's the guy that's getting married.
Yeah.
So he's Nick's best friend.
Yeah.
He's also been hitting the gym quite well. He's,
I think just everyone in general in this movie.
Just really good.
Except this one bachelor, this one guy at the bachelor party who's just fat. It's like a short, fat Asian bloke.
Yeah. And the long hair, like the shoulder length sort of.
Yeah, we'll get to him. He's Jimmy O Yang.
Yeah.
People who watch Silicon Valley will know about him because he's in the show Silicon Valley. So he's the guy who organized the bachelor party.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's in the grooms. He's part of the groomsmen.
Part of the grooms.
Yeah.
He's the what do you call them? He's the groomsman that they all wondered why.
Yeah.
But he was picked as a groomsman.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it in spoilers, but I didn't understand why he was a groomsman because no one really likes him.
Yeah, no one does,
including the groom. So, and then there's Sonoya Mizuno. She's the bride, so she's Japanese in real life. So they got like not just Chinese Asians; they've got kind of a wide range of Asians.
Yeah, worldwide, really.
Yeah.
From all over. There's
Ronnie Cheng, who's also I guess we could call him an Australian, because he studied here. He did law and commerce here at Melbourne. He's Eddie, so he's the other cousin who is next in line.
For the inheritance, pretty much.
Is he the one with the wife and the kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the one that's overly sexually active?
No, he's the one with the kids.
The one with the wife and the kids.
The other one is Alistair, played by Remy He. So he's the director. That's Anyway, yeah. You remember the director who's dating the actress?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember him. Yep.
He's
Spoilers.
Let's
go into that in the spoilers.
And then I'll mention a couple of the other, I guess, even more secondary characters. There was his grandmother, who I guess plays an important role. And there's also Nico Santos, who's a Filipino. He's Oliver, so he's like a second cousin to Nick. And he helps with the wedding a bit. He's kind of like the outsider cousin. And he makes friends with Aquafina. One. Yeah, he makes friends with Aquafina and he helps dress.
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked him. He was funny.
Yeah, I mean there was a whole bunch of other characters.
There's so many other characters. We could be here forever.
There's so many.
Massive cast,
we'd be here forever. But yeah, and the main thing is there isn't a single non-Asian character.
Except at the start. There's like random white people here and there, but
it's pretty much a fully Asian cast. I guess we can move on to the positives and the negatives. I'll go through my positives. I thought the biggest positive was they really did push if you look at the title, The Crazy Rich Asians, I think the rich part really stood out. And then the Asian part, I guess. But the rich part, just with how grand the sets were, it's just very colourful, and the wedding was also very vibrant and rich. So I really like that. And the cast was really good. The cast and the performances of the cast. I can't think of one character or performance that I didn't like or that I thought wasn't good, in contrast to our last review of The Meg, where I thought every performance and every actor was bad.
Don't listen to what he's saying, Lee Bing Bing. I love you.
And the humor was quite good. So generally with rom-coms, they call it rom-com, but I don't find them funny at all. Like, most of them are not funny. They're just romantic, and they have a scene of comedy. But this was actually a rom-com because it had a lot of comedy.
Some of them can be funny.
Yeah, maybe it's just my sense of humor.
I guess it depends, but this one definitely, in terms of the humor side, upped its game.
Yeah,
compared to a lot of other rom-coms I've seen.
Yeah. What were your positives?
Pretty much the same as what you've said. All the cast was good. The sets was good. Do you know how they had these like little animations through the middle, like when they're taking the flight, and then it's got like coming from New York to Singapore, and it's got this animation? I thought those all looked really cool and a bit different to what you normally get.
Yeah. Just the editing in general was quite good. It was just very slick, and it just looked very good, the movie.
And the music's actually really nice. They've got a couple of Western songs, but with Asian lyrics in them, which is a good touch. And yeah, I liked mostly everything. Everything looks really nice. One of the nicest looking movies we've seen this year, I reckon. Yeah.
I forgot to mention the budget. So the budget for this movie was 30 million. And you can see where they've spent all the money. It's all and so far in terms of box office, it's done 96 million worldwide, so it's doing pretty well. And it only opened up this weekend overseas, so it's been out in America for a couple of weeks, and it's doing really well in America. But it's going to do even better overseas. So, what were your positives?
Well, probably similar to some of what you guys have already said. I really liked all the characters. I thought they did a great job. Each role, it was played, I think, really, really well. And it was just so funny. I loved the storyline. I think some parts definitely were a bit predictable, but I think that's what I love in terms of rom-com. It's a bit cheesy, it's funny, like it's a great story, and it's just generally like a typical feel-good film, great ending. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I agree with Darren. I love the music. It was just, it was really good to see, I think, just culturally as well, like the all Asian cast and just all those vibes to the film. I enjoyed that because it's not something that we see very often. And I definitely think there should be more of this type of casting and film for sure in Hollywood.
Definitely the cultural side of things was good.
To add to that, whenever they do cast Asian people, it's always a stereotype.
Yes,
but what we loved out of this movie is there wasn't any stereotypes, and it felt more relatable because of that. Because we're Asians living abroad as well, like Rachel, and we're not Asian as in Chinese, but Indian, and it felt relatable in that sense. And they weren't playing any caricatures. Most of the characters felt real.
Very relatable. Yeah, I love that about the film.
In terms of the negatives, I only had one. The movie does slow down a little bit at one stage. I'll talk about it in spoilers, but there's about 10 minutes in there where I felt it was moving a bit slow, and I was looking at my watch a bit, but it does pick up after that. And I would say the last 40 minutes of this movie, I didn't look back, so I was thoroughly entertained. Do you have any particular negatives?
I have one storyline that I found was not necessary and kind of didn't go anywhere in the movie, which I could talk about more in spoilers. But there was one particular storyline that I thought didn't need to be in the movie. It didn't add much to the movie overall. Other than that, it's predictable, as Kavya said. You know what's going to happen in the movie, so it doesn't really have many surprises in that sense. But in a way, that's not that bad either.
I think a lot of rom-coms tend to be fairly predictable. But I think if you're after just like that feel-good, happy ending, everyone's happy, it's a good watch for that. So negatives-wise, I really enjoyed it. I think there were certain parts that were probably a little bit cheesy for my liking. But, it's a rom-com, so that's what you kind of expect. Yeah. But other than that, I really enjoyed it.
If that's all we have in terms of non-spoilers, we can give our ratings, and then we'll jump into spoilers. I'll give you my rating. I was surprised. It was surprising, refreshing, and I would watch it at cinema. Surprisingly, I think it's actually worth watching at cinema because the sets, the design, the overall, I think just the visuals of the movie. Not when I say visuals, I don't mean like CGI. Just the colors and the vibrance of the movie was really good, and it's good to watch on the big screen. So watch it at cinema.
I'm gonna mix it up today and give two different what do we call it? Scores, I guess. But yeah, as you said, really good movie. Special shout out to the costume designers as well, because costumes were very good, very colourful. So the rating I'm going to give is 37.5. But I think it's a very good date night movie. If, any kind of date night, it will be great to watch.
I say this every episode. So Taran's scale isn't out of any particular number. It's different for every movie, but it sounds like he enjoyed it. You can't compare his ratings across movies. Just as a word of caution if you're joining us for the first time. What would you rate it? So before you say anything, Kavya's watching it again this week with her friends. When we walked out of the movie, she said it's the best movie of the year and it's better than Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you guys have a completely different style of movies that you're into, but this is very much up my alley. So I really enjoyed this film. Yeah, I don't really have a particular rating system like you guys. So I'll just go out of 10. I'll probably give it a 9. And yes, I am watching it again on Tuesday. So I'm looking forward to it. I just thought it was so funny, so fun, and I would watch it again. And I really liked, just the way they filmed it and the color, and it was just so bright, and it was good. Love the cast. So I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah. I actually feel like going to Singapore after watching this movie.
Yes, we actually talked about that on the way home from the movies.
Like the way they showed Singapore in this looks a lot better than when you actually go to Singapore.
Yeah.
It's bloody hot and sticky and far out. You just want to go inside.
There's a really good hotel that they show in the film with like this
Marina Bay Sands. Yeah.
See, we wouldn't be staying that because I don't think we could really afford it. So I think our experience and that experience,
our experience will be a lot more different. Yeah, we'll just be sweating on the roads.
Just your average commoner on the street, but
So we'll jump into spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and you care about spoilers, you can go watch the movie now and come back to this point and listen to our spoilers. The first thing I want to say was there was a dialogue in the trailer where he says, or where she's like, "You're like the Prince William of Singapore. Like, you never told me you're the Prince William of Singapore." And it's like, that's not true. I'm more of a Harry. That wasn't in the movie, was it?
That was in the movie.
It wasn't in the movie, no.
Yeah.
It was in the trailer, though.
Yeah, it wasn't in the movie.
I didn't even watch the trailer, so I don't remember that part. But it wasn't in the movie. It definitely wasn't in the movie.
See, it's funny you mentioned that because when I watched the trailer, I thought I must have just missed that bit in the movie. But yeah.
They have a lot of stuff that was probably in the trailer that didn't make it to the movie. I guess we'll just go through the movie and we'll talk about whenever I'll mention stuff and you can just chip in. So it opens with the Napoleon quote, "China is a sleeping giant. Let her sleep. For when she wakes, she will move the world." It's not really relevant to this movie, but
I don't know why. Anyway. I don't know why it's at the start. Like, what the fuck's that about? Like, did you just want a quote at the start of the movie? Like, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But it starts in 1995 in London.
I actually really like that starting scene. I don't know why. I just love it how she goes outside and buys the hotel and then comes back in. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're basically, it's kind of a bit racist. They refuse her. I don't know if she did actually book or like she did book and they just didn't want her. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So basically they don't let her stay at the hotel. So she ends up buying the hotel.
Well, I think the plan was she was already going to buy it. Wasn't she there to meet that gentleman?
No, I think she wanted to stay in that suite, which is like the best suite, and they didn't let her, so she just bought the hotel.
Do you know what it reminds me of? The scene in Batman Begins where he's in that hotel and he's like in the swimming pool with the models, and they're like, "You can't do this," and then he just writes a check and then buys the place. Right. So it's like
buys the hotel,
it's like that, but good scene.
And then we get introduced to Rachel. She's an economics professor and she's doing a game theory lesson. And that actually comes back at the end, that lesson that she's teaching. So she says, play to win, but not to lose. And we see that at the end when she plays that mahjong in Singapore. But we'll get
come
to that.
Do you want to come back to that, or can we talk about it now?
We'll come back to that because I'll go through the rest of it. But apparently that scene is very symbolic as well. And then we get the scene where he asks her to come with him to Singapore. And we see that whole social media thing. Like this lady walks past and takes the photo of them. And then it spreads all over the internet, and
the
like
visuals
within 2
were cool
minutes,
there.
Yeah.
and then like within 2 minutes, his mum knows about it somehow. So
Yeah.
like he literally just talks to her about it, and then his mum calls him about it. So which was interesting. I don't know if I think it's just in general everyone's into social media.
I don't think it's that realistic though. Wouldn't happen in 2 minutes, but yeah.
No,
Yeah.
unless everyone was stalking each other at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
I mean, do you think it was a reference maybe to like big families and that like that culture as well? Like everyone's
Like everyone
maybe
knows
in
each
other's
other.
noses. Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone's in each other's
I think
noses.
And I
that's
guess
what it was
he's-
each
trying to
other's
reference.
business.
And he's a
as
celebrity
well.
as well
Yeah.
in Singapore, so like everyone knows him.
Yes.
So maybe that's why. Like if like Prince Harry was
Yeah, exactly.
there, like the same thing would probably happen. Like the Queen would get to know about it. That's how the Queen got to know about Meghan Markle.
Don't know.
And then it moves on to Singapore, so they catch a first class flight to Singapore, and then she finds out that Nick is like crazy rich.
Yes. He's like, we're comfortable. And she's like, that's what every rich person would say.
And then they meet the groom and bride and spend some time with them. This was the part I felt it got a bit slow, because it wasn't really like comedy or anything. It was just stuff happening.
Yeah, and not that relevant as well. It was it was kind
Well,
of
I thought it was nice because you got to get to know their characters a bit more. I think like his friend and the people getting married, because they don't really have a lot.
Yeah,
of
they don't
other
really
scenes,
come back
do they?
again.
It's just a few comedy scenes here and there, but like bachelor party, bachelorette party. So I like that, and they seem so down to earth. So we didn't actually really know what we were getting ourselves into.
They're like eating street food, but they're
Yeah,
like billionaires.
Yeah. So I think it was sort of playing things down, and then boom, like meeting the crazy rich family.
So then she goes to her friend Peak Lin, which is Aquafina's character's house, and she meets her family, and then she finds out that the Nick that she's dating is like one of the richest. Is from like one of the richest families in Singapore. And then you meet her brother. I think it's her brother, right?
Yeah.
The one that keeps taking
the
photos.
phone,
They kind of brush past this, but he's a sex criminal. Like, he's a predator. He's just taking pictures of women when they're not looking. Like, they brush past this really, really quickly, but he needs to be put in jail or on some kind of list. Like, really, really. At the end, he takes a picture of them and he's like, I'll email it to you. It's like, dude, you can't take pictures of women without them knowing.
Yeah, that was a bit creepy. He's just so desperate, I think, to be in a relationship and really struggling to find a lady.
He definitely needs to be put on some kind of list. He needs to be on something. Yeah. Don't let him near any kids.
Yeah. And then they move on to his mansion. So he invites her to a party. I think it's with all his family members.
Just to meet the family.
It's just pretty much meet the family.
A dinner to meet my family.
And she meets all of them, including his mother, and she figures out that she obviously doesn't like her, even in the first meeting. But it's weird because she's not like blatantly hating on her. Like she's very nice about it. So it's a bit weird.
But she somehow comes off. Yeah. She somehow knows. But like, women know these things. They somehow pick up on it that guys would not pick up on these kind of things, I reckon. It's a thing that happens.
Well, from that first scene, I actually didn't really know whether she disliked her or not. Yeah, like she was overly formal. There was a bit of, I guess the tone I got was more, whether this, she didn't think it was serious maybe. Like it was a bit like, nice to meet you. As I would meet any other friend of Nick's. Yeah.
This is just very polite.
It was just overly polite and just like, this isn't going to last sort of vibe.
But in that scene, you find out that she's kind of out of her comfort zone because firstly, they bring her like a finger bowl and she tries to drink out of it. Yeah. And then she meets his maid, I think, and she thinks it's his grandma.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, at least she was dressed for the occasion because her friend helped her out. Yeah. Because she was actually going to rock up in her
So her friend is pretty rich as well.
Her friend drives like an Audi R8. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you're fucking rich as well.
And her house is like amazing. But like these guys are just even more rich. So
yeah. Like 100 times richer.
So she doesn't have a great night, but she finds out that the grandma seems to sort of like her. I think she likes her. Well, she likes her more than the mum. And then we move on to the bachelor and bachelorette parties.
This part was a bit weird. This part seemed over the top to me. Seemed a bit over the top. Yeah.
It was just crazy.
So she literally just meets the bride like 2 days ago, and she gets invited to the bachelorette party. And she goes. She doesn't have a great time because she meets...
They put a dead fish in her bed.
Yeah. I was wondering what that was at first because I couldn't tell what it was. Like, it looked like
long fish.
Something, but it was a dead fish. She meets Nick's ex, Amanda. So she makes... Like, at first, they seem to be really good friends and they seem to be getting along. And then she
switches. She just changes.
And then they're getting a massage and she just switches.
Yeah, so pretty much.
Classic evil turn of 2018. Where a good character becomes bad. Yeah.
I did not see that.
I actually didn't see this one coming either.
No, I didn't see that coming because she seemed all right. Like she also seemed to be a little bit over... You guys aren't going to believe me, but I actually saw it coming. For some reason, I just knew it. I knew it was coming straight away. How did you see it coming? What gave it away? At the start, when she just meets her, how she's just lurking behind her, and then she's just like, "Oh, hey," and then she knows a bit too much about her. It's like, yeah, you're into Nick, or I'm like, she's either into Nick or she's dated him before. I knew it was coming. Okay. I didn't see that one. Yeah, I just thought she was a little bit like over the whole like the rich kid scene. So she was just like standing in the corner. But she's rich as well. Like pretty much everyone there was rich. There was. Yeah. When she said she was their lawyer as well, I'm like, they know each other. They've known each other. Yeah. I just found it funny that the bachelorette party it involved shopping as well. Like a fully paid shopping spree. Retail therapy and then... So I didn't get why they were still fighting over it, because they're not paying for it. Is it because they didn't want to get their size or something? Getting the best... Size or like best outfit, because it's just like one of everything. So it's just getting the best haul, I guess. Yeah. That's what they were doing. Fighting over everything. Or maybe that's what they enjoy. Yeah. That's what they enjoy, the experience of shopping and fighting over bargains. Yeah. And in contrast, the bachelor party. The bachelor party was fucked, man. So it's organized by Bernard Ty, which is one of the guys in the groomsmen. The groomsman that... Yeah, so I don't know why he's in there. Like, no one really likes him. But he organizes I think it's a ship, a ship with... It's like a freight, Yeah, and it's in international waters. So, like, they have to fly out of Singapore and go into waters, and it's in the middle of the ocean. And, it's very extravagant and over the top. And you also find out that Nick's cousins are all dicks. They're all dicks. They're not very nice. Yeah, pretty much all of them. Yeah. The one with the three kids? Yeah, he's not nice. He's not very nice. And the other guy's not nice as well. The director. The guy who's overly sexually driven. Yeah. He's not nice either. Yeah. Was, Astrid's husband. Yes. Okay, so this is... At the party? No. Okay. No. So that's the story that I thought was... You thought was irrelevant. And if you take that whole section out of the movie does not change at all. And does it add all that much to the movie? Probably not. Like, it adds a little bit. I feel like it's probably a bigger plot point in the book, and they kind of glazed over it in this. Because I think Astrid's character is a pretty important character in the book. And in this movie, she is sort of, because she's the only one that Rachel sort of likes in his family. Yeah, but, like, she's not in it all that much. And they kind of just brush over the fact that her husband's having an affair. Yeah. And then it's like, one scene you find out he's having the affair, the next scene they break up, and then it's just like, okay, they're not together anymore. Yeah. I didn't care that much about it. Yeah. Do you think that what they're sort of getting at with that is, was he rich? No, he's not rich. But he's not rich, they've obviously gone through all the hurdles that we think Rachel and Nick Young are going to go through, but then things aren't as perfect as they sort of rich family sort of culture, how they're hushing it all up and they just can't be themselves, and how that itself is an obstacle. I don't know. Maybe there's something deeper. And like you said, like in the book, I think they get into it a bit more.
I reckon in the book it probably worked.
Maybe, yeah, they sort of brushed a bit over it.
There's a line that Rachel says as well, because they're like discussing, her and Astrid are discussing about it. And then she's like, yeah, we had a lot of problems getting married.
Yeah.
And then Rachel's like, yeah, well, but it's worth it after that.
Yeah,
and
look,
she
it
kind
all
of goes
worked out for
quiet.
you guys,
Yeah.
But it didn't.
I would say it's not that relevant to the whole movie. Because in that case, if they're going to get to that plot point, it would be like, so why is it worth getting with Nick? And like, is it all going to end up that well? But the whole point of the story is that, they're in love and they should be together. Not that, they shouldn't be together just because they like each other, because it's not going to work out. So I felt like it was contrasting to what the movie wanted it to be.
But I think they wanted to get at the fact that that guy that she did marry, he wasn't very strong.
Willed enough.
Yeah. Whereas Rachel is.
He didn't have what it takes to fight this family and like all the obstacles it brings and see it through.
Yeah.
Whereas Rachel had that fierce, like that fighting nature.
It doesn't come through that well.
But yeah, it doesn't. You have to really think about it.
You have to
analyze
really
it
analyze
to the
it.
depths we are analyzing it too, pretty much.
I think if you take that story point all out of the movie, it's about 15 minutes shorter, and it would flow a lot better and work well.
After the bachelorette scene, she's not very happy, but they end up there's this dumpling scene.
Oh, and then the mum goes major bitchy.
Yeah. Oh, what you didn't mention was the helicopters as well. They have helicopters that they flew.
Yeah. Did you see where he landed the helicopter? He lands it on like this rock. It's not possible. It's not possible.
No, it's just like sitting. Do you think that was CGI, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or was that like, it would have been. I don't know.
It's not possible. Yeah. He landed it on this like uneven rock.
Right. And it looked like it was going to tip into the ocean at any second.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and during that scene, he basically tells his friend that he's going to propose as well. But anyway, during the dumpling scene, Rachel sees the ring on his mother's finger, which is her engagement ring. And the story behind that ring is, I think in their family, how it works is they get the ring from the mother to present it to their fiancé. But her mother,
his mother. So
his grandmother, Nick's grandmother, wasn't approving of Eleanor, so his father had to buy his own ring.
Yeah.
Nick's grandmother is the grandmother, by the way. That's the grandmother in the movie.
Yeah.
The mother that didn't approve of the mum is the grandmother in the movie. Yeah.
Because in that scene, she says something to her as well, and it's a bit like, those dumplings aren't properly made, good. Like you've lost your touch or something.
Yeah, so it's always a bit critical. Accepting.
So it was kind of like they didn't get along, so Eleanor doesn't want that to happen again, or like.
Oh, I think also there's a bit of like I think
Or she wants that to.
So as you said, the grandmother does like or seem to like Rachel, and I think that sparks a bit of jealousy as well.
Yeah,
and sort of fuels that sort of dislike.
But basically, in that scene, she tells Rachel that she's not good enough.
I gotta say though, but if anyone was going to understand Rachel, don't you think it would be?
It would have been her.
Shouldn't the mum like be like on
she's
board
been
with
through
it? She's been through it, but she's like the most disapproving one, which kind of doesn't make sense to me. I feel like she should be the one that is the most approving, basically.
Yeah.
Or she's just jealous and she just didn't want it to work out as easily for. Yeah. You know, she went through that, so why should
Rachel go through it?
Why should Rachel get everything when she didn't have it easy? Or
maybe she doesn't. She knows it's not going to be easy, and she doesn't want Rachel to go through it, so she's kind of sparing her. I feel like we're talking about this like we talk about a Marvel movie. We're like really in depth
so much. Yeah, it's got in depth.
And then moves on to the wedding scene, which I thought was very creative as well. And she dresses up for it. And she socializes with everyone at the wedding to make it look like
I loved that scene where
she would fit in. Yeah, and then there's a scene where they dressed her.
That was
and
fun.
For some reason, Awkwafina's dad kept wanting her to wear this dress.
No, that was her brother. I'm pretty sure.
No, it was a dad. Yeah,
the dad's also a sex pest. Get the whole family in jail. They're all.
I thought that was the brother, but I must have missed that.
The brother's there taking pictures.
That's a bit odd. I don't know. I find that very odd.
Get them all in jail. And then he tries to bang his wife on the chair just randomly at the end. It's a very odd scene.
That reminded me a bit of, Cinderella and like getting ready for the ball kind of thing. But, different way.
But the wedding scene I thought was very good. There's a line as well. They're like, cost 50 million for the wedding or something. And it's like, we don't spend more than 20 million for a wedding.
If only we had 20 million lying around.
And then we start getting the plot twist. So during I think it's the reception for the wedding, Eleanor reveals that she sent a private investigator to look into Rachel's previous life, and she finds out that her mum basically her father is still alive, and her mum ran away from her father. Well, not her father. Her mum ran away from her husband and had an affair with someone else who ended up being her father.
Yes.
Yeah. And she didn't know about that because her mum never actually told her about that. And because of that, they basically said, Nick will have to stop seeing Rachel.
That's when we see the turn in the grandma.
You find out the grandma's a bitch as well.
Yeah.
I thought she was so sweet, and I thought she really would be supportive, but she flipped the...
And then she flips on everyone. She's like, she flips on Nick. She's like, I'm going to disown you. Yeah. And then she flips on Eleanor as well. She's like, this is all because of you.
She goes rogue. She's like, I'm gonna flip on all you bastards.
And then Rachel's depressed for like...
It looks like a couple days.
And then Nick arranges for Rachel's mother to fly to Singapore.
That was sweet. I thought that was nice. And we haven't talked about her mother's character, like Rachel's mum.
Yeah, well, we don't really know. We see her at the start, and then we don't really see her till the end. So
she doesn't have a massive role.
But her mum comes. She decides to move on. And then Nick wants to meet her, so she does meet him, and he proposes to her. And we actually don't find out what happens in that scene. But in the next scene, which we wanted to talk about earlier, is the mahjong scene. I don't know the rules of this game. I looked them up afterwards.
So basically, at the end, the mum flips her coins, and I'm like, oh, she's got a good hand, I reckon. And then the chick flips her coins. I'm like, is that hand better than her hand? Like, who won? I don't know. I don't know what mahjong rules are. Like,
so what happens is that I think mahjong rules you're meant to get a set of 3. It's similar to rummy, like rules wise. What's happening in the game is meant to mirror their conversation. So she tells her that Nick proposed to her, and then they're basically playing the game, and then you find out that she rejected the proposal. And she says that the wife that he does get, that Eleanor does approve of, is because of a poor American called Rachel. Like, she says that.
Yeah.
And basically she's holding a cube in her hand. And if she used that one, she would have won. But she gives it off so that Eleanor wins. So Eleanor flips it and she's won. She's basically won. But then before Rachel goes, she flips hers. And it shows that if she had kept that tile, she would have won. So she kind of let Eleanor win, which is
the point.
What happened in terms of Nick.
Okay, well, yeah. It would have made more sense if I knew the rules of mahjong, but I kind of knew what they were going for.
What did she say? She said, by me letting go of Nick, whoever he does end up with, he'll always remember me and resent you for it.
If she accepts the proposal, then he'll resent her for taking away the mother.
Yeah.
The family, yep.
Yeah.
And if
she doesn't accept, then he'll resent the mother. And then we get I
liked that scene, by the way. Yeah. It just really showed her true strength. And also the mum, you know how the mum appears. Like,
she's just sitting there.
Time.
Yeah.
I really
and she gives her a stare down just before she leaves.
That she knows how to play mahjong, which is...
And it shows her upbringing. Like, just, a strong single woman who's brought up this, strong... single daughter, just
the question is,
hardships that they've gone through.
What was the mom doing in the corner? Was she playing mahjong as well, or like was she playing a different game? What was she doing?
Second game of mahjong.
Yeah. Is she just watching? Can you just watch? Is watching allowed?
Well, the other two are watching. There's other two.
No, they're playing as well. They just lost though. They suck. She obviously picked the 2 worst she's like, hey guys, who's the 2 worst mahjong players here? Yeah, can I borrow you 2?
Yeah, we need you 2.
Yeah, we need you 2.
And then we get a rendition of Yellow in Chinese.
Yeah.
I liked the music.
So apparently the director, John Woo, he had to write... Basically, they wanted to use this song but in Chinese. And then they asked Coldplay, but Coldplay refused them the rights to use the song. And then John Woo wrote a letter personally to Coldplay asking
John Woo. I thought it was John Chu. John Woo's the guy who directed Mission Impossible 2.
Oh yeah, no, John Chu. John Chu. He wrote a letter to Coldplay, and then they accepted it. So they ended up using it in the movie.
It would be funny if John Woo wrote the letter, because what's he got to do with this movie?
And then basically it gets to the climax. A lot of these rom-coms end in an airport or on an airplane.
Yeah, and this was very cliche in the way it ends as well.
She's off on her economy flight. She's about to go back to New York. And then Nick comes in and he tells her that how he would have proposed to her. Something very romantic, I can't remember.
On an island, or I can't remember, yeah.
And then he does propose to her on the flight, and he proposes to her not with the ring that he bought her, but with Eleanor's ring.
Yeah, so that shows...
And that shows that Eleanor did approve of it in the end. And I guess that mahjong scene, I think that obviously turned her, because she must have...
Because she really respects someone who's good at mahjong.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what I want from my daughter-in-law. Has to be good at mahjong. That flipped her.
Because I think her whole point was that Americans don't respect their families enough, and they just they're all about their own achievements. And the fact that Rachel was able to sacrifice her own needs for Nick's family, I think that made her change her mind. And also probably because she lost in mahjong on purpose. So.
She's a fighter. She's a fighter, and I think that's what Eleanor ended up liking.
A special shout out to the lady in the plane behind Rachel, who gets very excited.
She's
fat
like,
Asian lady.
Yes. Yeah, she was so funny.
Random fat Asian lady. At first, she was really pissed off at Rachel. She was like, "Can you please move?" But then she got really into it. Yeah.
She's like hugging the mum and everything. She's probably at the engagement party at the end.
Yeah.
She's like, "I'm not going to New York."
That was hilarious. I love that.
And then it ends with their engagement party on
last night. Yeah.
Marina Park Sands on the top near the swimming pool.
Yeah, that's a beautiful hotel.
Yeah. So it ends with that, and then we do get a mid-credit scene with Astrid. So I had no idea who this person was.
I had to look it up as well. I looked it up and found out who it was. So it's her ex-fiance.
Oh,
he's a rich
okay.
dude. Yeah.
Because that's why, like, everyone in the audience was like, "Ooh," like,
yeah, but how?
And I had no idea.
Have they read the book, or like how are we meant to know? Because you never see him in the whole movie.
There's no mention that she had an ex-fiance, let alone that.
I would have liked to see a little bit more about her character, to be honest, and
her character got
upbringing. Not much, but I thought she would have been quite important if they had delved into it a bit more. I liked her.
Maybe in the sequel, she's more important. Also, another thing, I expected the dad to show up at some point in this movie. I'm like, the dad is going to show up.
Yeah, you wanted that as the end credits.
Yeah.
I wanted the dad as the end credit scene, because I'm like, the mum's gonna come around, and then the dad's gonna show up, and he's gonna be an asshole.
Well, there's still 2 more potential movies for that.
They keep mentioning the dad, but he never shows. Like, dude, it's like your son's best friend's wedding. Why are you not here? So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe in the sequel he shows up.
You wanted the guy from Skyscraper, Dark Knight?
Skyscraper. Yeah, I thought he would be a good
I think he's a bit too young to be his dad, though.
What? No, he isn't. He's old. Which
no, he's not as old as his mum.
I'm talking about the police officer, dude.
In Skyscraper?
Police officer Skyscraper, dude.
Oh, even he's not that old.
Oh, no, I think he would do fine.
I thought you were talking about the Dark Knight, dude.
Nah, not him. Nah, yeah. He's too young. I reckon police officer Skyscraper.
What about Jackie Chan?
Yeah.
I think too old. Jackie Chan's too old?
Yeah.
Nah, he's not that old. He's like 60.
Like 60. Yeah. I think he's too old.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh's 56.
Michelle Yeoh's holding up well. Jackie Chan's not holding up that well.
She's holding up.
Yeah,
well.
So it'll make sense in terms of the plot as well, because his mum just hangs out at home, right? Whereas his dad's doing all the heavy lifting and doing all the work, so he aged, whereas his mum just stayed young.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. There's a lot of good Asian actors that could probably.
Jet Li?
Nah. Although Jet Li kind of looks like that guy. He kind of looks like the son. Interesting.
I guess we'll see.
Well, I don't know if the dad does play a part in the next in the sequels.
I guess he'd eventually have to be in it, right?
Huh?
He'd eventually have to be in it.
Surely.
Probably. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't read the books, but I think I definitely will now, and then maybe we'll see what happens.
You could give us the download.
I'll give you the update. Yeah.
But if they do have a sequel, it won't be till like 2020.
Yeah, I read today that they greenlit a sequel, but most of the actors are busy until 2020, so they won't be able to make it before then. But they're going to make one.
I guess we can close up with I guess I'll call it top 3 moments, top 3 characters that you want to mention. I've got Michelle Yeoh and Constance Wu, so their scenes, Awkwafina's jokes, or just her family in general, and just the overall, I guess, how everything's grand and colourful. I thought that was a highlight of the movie. What would your top 3 moments / characters be?
I definitely did not prepare for this, so I am going to come up with stuff on the spot. Mahjong scene, just because I love some mahjong. Yeah, not because of the conversation, just the mahjong is very, very
For me, it was a conversation.
I liked the grand parts and the sets; they were really cool. And I'm gonna say the comedy. The comedy was pretty good overall. Yeah, it's not overly. It doesn't have a lot of comedy. I would say it's not.
But it has its light moments.
Yeah. Which I
also like the guy. We mentioned it before, Oliver, the guy who helps dress her as well.
Yeah,
I thought he was pretty funny.
The wedding. We didn't talk about that spectacular wedding.
Yeah, well, we mentioned it. Yeah,
that was next level.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be able to happen though. That's obviously CGI. You can't have
with
the
the water
trail that comes up.
Yeah.
Unless, because there was no pit to enclose the water. Like it would have just gone under all their chairs.
Yeah, everyone's feet would have just gone in. They would have been pissed
off. And their
off.
dresses and everything. Yeah. I really liked the humor. So Awkwafina, loved her character. And what else? Oh, I loved the mahjong scene. I really liked it. I think I liked it as opposed to Tharun, who was concentrating on the game. I really enjoyed just that the discussion between Rachel and Eleanor brought out her true strength, and I thought that was a very crucial point in the film.
Who was your favorite character?
My favorite? Oh, that's a tricky one. I really liked
Astrid, Rachel.
I liked Rachel.
Okay. Astrid's husband.
No, I didn't like him.
Bernard Tai.
I liked Rachel.
He's my favorite character.
I liked Rachel, I think, yeah. I just, I liked her character's personality, and it was just very relatable.
I liked Henry Golding.
Yeah, he was good too.
And
it's hard choice. Like, I would say they were all...
Yeah, as in I liked... He's just seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah. Very likable. Yeah. Well, they were saying in one of the interviews the camera just loved him, and every scene he did was just spot on for like his debut film.
And I also liked Awkwafina.
Yeah, I liked her. Yeah. I'd probably say...
there's a brand of, I think it's like spring water or something, that's called Awkwafina.
Yeah,
is there?
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've had it before.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's spelled different though. That's like aqua.
Yeah.
Like as in Aquaman, Awkwafina.
Whereas this is aqua.
Aqua.
Aquafina.
Awkwafina.
Yeah.
I think it's Awkwafina.
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 Yeah.
They say Awkwafina.
It's spelled Awk. Yeah.
Yeah, A-W.
Ah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's all we had to say about Crazy Rich Asians. So it looks like we all had a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good to finally see a movie where Asians aren't stereotyped.
Yeah.
I really like that. And I look forward to more of not just Asian, but like different cultures. Like there's, different like...
Yeah, well, this year we've had Black Panther and this movie.
Too, yeah.
There's actually this movie on Netflix at the moment, if you haven't seen it. It's called To All the Boys I've Loved. I think I may have got that name wrong. But yeah, it's basically, it's like a rom-com as well, I guess, but teenagers. And the female leads are half Asian in that as well. So it's good to see a couple of movies that are coming out like this. It's actually a pretty good movie as well if you want to watch it. I watched it the other day. It's not bad.
Okay.
I'll check it out. Yeah.
All right. I guess that's all we had in terms of Crazy Rich Asians. Did you have any news that we can quickly skim through?
Quickly go through. Ben Affleck's in rehab. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jennifer Garner drove him there.
Yeah, she did. Alcohol addiction.
Yeah. So he's not going to be Batman anymore?
He's not going to be Batman. Not going to be Batman.
There's the news about James Bond, Danny Boyle leaving as director.
Yep, yeah, so it's been put on hold.
Yeah.
Kind of good, because I don't want to see another Daniel Craig James Bond movie, so I'm hoping
But I think they're still gonna do Daniel Craig, I think.
I'm hoping Daniel Craig steps away, because he only agreed to do it because Danny Boyle was going to direct. But now that
apparently they had creative differences, like him and Danny Boyle, because
really?
Daniel Craig's also a producer, and apparently Danny Boyle was just doing like stuff that wasn't related to the other movies. Like he was doing it more as a standalone, and I think they wanted it to be related to the other Daniel Craig movies. Yeah,
I liked Casino Royale, and Skyfall's okay, but the rest of them I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, Spectre wasn't great. Anything else?
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 got put on hold.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's expected.
I don't know if that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
At all, or just?
At all. Yeah.
Okay. Well, is it because their last one didn't do too well?
No, the last one did pretty well. It's because the director got fired because he had some questionable tweets.
Black Panther's trying to go for the Oscar, not the. Did you
not
hear
the
about
popular
the new Oscar category? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be two. There's going to be a popular, like a most popular movie, which they're introducing at the Oscars, and still the best picture. So I think it's. There's a couple of things happening here. It's in an attempt to get more people to watch the Oscars, because a lot of people just stop watching them because the movies that they do award are movies that no one's really watched.
Like art house sort of.
Yeah, like the movies that win Best Picture are typically not movies that everyone has watched. So they're trying to introduce popular category to try to award movies that are popular. But people find that a little bit...
condescending? Or?
Yeah, because... they're saying that you're popular, but you're not good in a way. So I think basically this year what's happened is there hasn't really been great movies till date. And the best movie that's probably deserves to win an Oscar is Black Panther. But they don't give awards to movies like Black Panther, typically. So
the people on the Academy are primarily old white men. And they like movies like The Revenant and stuff like that, which is shot very well.
But to kind of get over that, not giving an award to Black Panther, they've kind of said, oh, we've got this popular category. But now what they're doing with Black Panther is they're trying to go for the best picture anyway, just to stuff them over. And Infinity War is going to get the popular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't know if Black Panther will end up getting the Oscar anyway. I think they'll probably give it to an art house film in the end. Still,
probably.
Because boy, do the Oscars love their art house films.
Yeah.
And also, did you see the new trailer for The Predator?
No,
I haven't watched.
I saw the new poster. It's like the heat vision camera or something of the Predator.
I think it looks good.
When's it coming out?
2 weeks. The last trailer especially I thought was pretty good. It's got lots of blood, guts.
Okay. Is it R-rated or?
Yeah, it's R-rated.
Well, that weekend there's a couple of movies coming out that weekend, so we'll have to decide what we do.
What else is coming out that week?
Christopher Robin.
Oh yes. Ooh.
And Teen Titans Go.
I think Predators will be the biggest one that weekend. Is it The Predators? I think it's The Predator.
The Predator, yeah. Just while we're talking about movies that we watched during the week, we also watched a Japanese anime called Mirai.
Oh, you watched it, yeah.
We did watch it. So it was quite good. It's not as trippy as Spirited Away, but it's
still pretty trippy.
It has elements of that. It's basically about a young boy who was the only child, and then they have another child, and he has a sister, and it's basically about how he goes from being the only child to being one of two, and all the attention is to the baby, so he's all jealous.
Yeah,
and it's basically his story about how
and little lessons he learns.
Yeah, just stuff that he learns about his family and
Yeah. It was interesting.
Is it worth watching?
Yeah.
It is worth watching.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd watch it again in the cinemas. It's very different to this Spirited Away in that Spirited Away, yes, it's trippy, but there's a direct storyline. Like, there's her story, Chihiro, and like it's a story pretty much. Whereas this one, it's just, I feel it's more snippets, like different scenes. Like it changes from one scene into different scenes very quickly. Like it's not it's
kind of like a series of
imaginations or visions
events that
he
happen
sees, rather than,
but I still think it's worth a watch.
It's entertaining though. It's cute.
It's good for kids, I think.
It's good for kids, yeah. And just seeing his reaction as a 2 or 3 year old, like how they behave, I think.
Yeah.
With this loss of attention. It's funny. There are definitely some parts that made me laugh.
In terms of my ratings, I'd probably give it a watch at some stage, like on streaming. It depends if you're into anime. If you're not into that sort of thing, then you might not enjoy it. But if you are, you probably will enjoy it.
Yeah. It's probably, watch not at the cinemas, but watch on...
Well, it's not a wide release anyway, so a lot of people won't be able to watch it at the cinema.
Yeah.
So,
well, there was only one show showing for the whole day when we went to see it. And there was the theatre wasn't even full.
Yeah.
When we did see it, it was like 15 people max.
So next week we've got The Nun, and you'll be here as well in person.
Yeah, I'll be in Melbourne.
And before we go, I should thank Kavya for her valuable insights on and her rom-com knowledge for this review.
Really that much.
Because typically we wouldn't review movies like this. So if we were ever going to, we'd probably need your help anyway.
Expertise.
So if we ever do another rom-com, you can definitely join us on the podcast again. And hopefully we reach a wider audience because of, firstly, reviewing a rom-com and you being on the podcast.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
We'll see.
So if you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at @CRecalibration. Send us an email at cognitiverecalibrationpodcast@gmail.com. And we are also on Instagram where you can see what's coming up in terms of our movies. So I posted one about Crazy Rich Asians this week. So you can find us at Cognitive Recalibration on Instagram. And we are now available on all podcast platforms. So whatever your favorite podcast platform is, you'll find us on there.
All right.
Anything else we want to mention?
Nah, that's it.
All right. Okay, cool. We'll see you guys next week for The Nun then.
All right. See you guys later.
See ya.